So we're going to teach Denver to walk nicely on a leash, and you can probably hear dogs barking in the background. Those are my neighbor's dogs. They have a couple spaniels. They don't usually really cause a problem, but they do act a little territorial, and they'll kind of charge towards you and make some noise there. So occasionally that will happen when I'm out training a dog, and I'll put the dog behind me and kind of scare them off and let them know they need to go away. So when you're out walking your dog, guys, something to keep in mind, if you're ever charged by off-leash dogs, and I don't care what size they are, put your dog behind you. That's the first thing you got to do, is you got to be out in front, and then you do whatever you got to do to keep the dogs away from you, because off-leash dogs just shouldn't be running up into your dog space, especially when they're on a leash, and you're on a walk minding your own business. So protect your dog, and they won't forget it. When your dog sees you in that leadership position, and you're out in the front and you're protecting their space, that really goes a long way and garners a lot of respect and appreciation from your dog. So anyways, not what this video is about. So we're teaching Denver to walk nicely on a leash here, and we're not asking for a nice tight heel yet, but what we're doing is every time he hits the end of the leash, I'm applying e-collar stimulation, and then I'll guide him back if I have to, but it only takes a few times and he learns to do that on his own. So if you watch closely, you'll see when he hits the end of the leash and there's tension, that I'm holding down the button. You can't really see the button because you can't see the e-collar remote, but I'm holding down the button until he loosens that tension by moving back into me. So I can give him guidance if I need to by pulling on the leash. And then once it's loose, I release the e-collar stimulation. And we just do that, right? So I have a really long driveway, and I live on a little dead-end road, and our mailbox is all the way down at the end of the road. So usually the first walk with the dogs, what I'll do is I'll just walk down to the mailbox. So on our way down there, I'm teaching them loosen the leash up to stop the e-collar stimulation. And then on the way back, I tighten it up a little bit more and teach them to walk next to my leg. So we're not calling it heel yet, but we will start that probably on our next walk. And we'll start pairing that command to the position of walking right next to me. So he's got his prong on too. He has a little prong, which he does great with. And I can use that to give him directional information or small little reminders here and there if I have to. Or like in this case, if there's tension and I need to pull him back, it just takes the tiniest little bit of force for him to get the memo that he needs to move back towards me, which is great, and that's why I love the prong collar so much. On a flat collar, a lot of dogs are willing to just pull and pull and pull and choke themselves on it. But with a prong collar, getting that restriction all the way around the neck, constriction rather, all the way around the neck, just the slightest little bit of force, and that sensation usually will get you a nice response. So he's learning right now to release tension by moving back into me, and we do this all the way down the road, and then on our way back, which you'll see in the next video, he holds a pretty nice heel position, and again, we're still tapping when he gets out of position and using the prong collar to help guide him, but he's pretty much walks right next to me, and he does a great job. So here we are on our way back now, and you can see he's holding a pretty nice heel next to my leg. Very loose leash, which is important. So you always want to have a loose leash when you're walking your dog, but not long. Okay, it should be a nice short leash. You don't want to have to flail your arms, way up in the air or over your head, just to get that little leash tug in there. You should be able to do that with fairly small motions. So loose leash, but short. And every time he starts to get ahead of me, or too far to the side, or too far behind. So it's important that you recognize the whole sphere, right? Not just getting ahead of you. So we want him to hold kind of a nice heel next to my leg. So we apply stimulation whenever he's sort of outside of that circle. If he gets too far behind, too far to the side, or too far ahead, or God forbid tries to cross in front of me or in back of me, which he did at least once or twice, we apply the stimulation and then we shut it off once we get him back where he belongs. So we're just using low levels right now. This isn't anything super high or corrective. It's just enough to let him know you're going to feel the stimulation when you're not in this spot, right? And then the next time we're out, we'll start calling it heel, and he'll start associating that word with this position, which is what we want. And then, the thing is, you don't have to walk in a heel. You can just walk your dog on a casual walk. If you're not having a lot of other behavioral issues, a lot of other problems with your walk, that's fine, right? But they're still not allowed to pull on the leash. So you would just do what we did earlier and apply stimulation when they pull on the leash, and then eventually use higher levels that the dog will respect, so they'll actually stop pulling on the leash. And right now we're in a pretty low distraction environment, but once he gets good at that, we'll take it into town and we'll walk around some distractions and we'll practice the same thing.